Hi everyone, I hope you're doing well. So today I actually wanted to do a little video on why it is that currently we are seeing a lot of people turn towards spirituality for answers, and really why it is that we're seeing such a high rise and shift in these spontaneous awakenings, whether that's your spiritual awakening or a Kundalini awakening, unlike we've ever seen before. And also, if you are a healer, a twin flame, or just a spiritual speaker or a light worker, then this message may be of interest to you. However, while I say that, I would like to mention that in spirituality, we really want to move away from these labels and any superiority attached with them. Spirituality is more about going within to dissolve your ego, really, transcending your mind and in search for the truth and in search for the divine. First reason that we're actually seeing such a huge rise in spirituality is because we are in the Kali Yuga. Now, for those of you that might not have heard of this term before, according to Vedic texts, we are currently in Kali Yuga, which is one of and the last of the 4 ages in a cosmic cycle. Now, in the Western part of the world, we refer to these as Golden Age being the Satyuga, which is the first age, and then Silver Age, Copper Age, and Iron Age being Kali Yuga. I will do a separate video to go into more depth about these 4 cycles and what they represent. But generally, being where we are right now in Kali Yuga, this age is represented by darkness, where we have people losing, morality. So there is a huge decline from the Golden Age to the Iron Age in people's morality, in people's beliefs in God, and not being connected to the divine. The ages that we go through, there is, Golden Age actually represents where we have the longest lifespans. And Kali Yuga is approximately 100 years, which is true for what we see today. An average lifespan for humans is about 80 to 100 years. So we are currently in that age where people are surrounded by confusion. Ego is, we can see that countries are going up against each other. There's a lot of political unrest. There is a lot of threats for wars and nuclear wars. And all of that is, according to Vedic texts, the good signs of not really good signs, but really the fact that we are in Kali Yuga. So we can see that all around us. And one of the other big things is nature is at its point of destruction. Where we are now, we can see earthquakes are happening around the world, natural disasters are at an all-time high. And so Kali Yuga is representing the destruction of planet Earth so that it can be rebuilt again. And people can once again move towards their connection with the divine into Satyuga, which is the Golden Age, which is why we're having such a huge shift in spirituality, people's beliefs, and them looking for that truth by going within. Now, on a positive front, the one thing I would like to say about Kali Yuga that I think is of most benefit to all of us if we are aware of it is that you can actually take Kali Yuga and really advance in your progress towards spirituality, because if you take a look at how short our lifespan is, you can almost take Kali Yuga to be your opportunity. If you have the opportunity to realize, a path towards the divine by going within, consider this such a huge blessing, because you can actually accomplish spiritual progress in the span or a lifetime of 100 years. And now, basically when you're actually hearing all of this information coming into a spiritual awakening, you might have less time, but consider this almost a crash course to success. Because if you had a lifespan of 100,000 years or 1,000 years or 10,000 years, which we see in the previous yugas, that is a very long time. Yes, you have an opportunity to realize God if you become acquainted with that path, but at the same time, that's a huge lifetime to go through and have that opportunity. So Kali Yuga, while it is the darkest age, it also is the best age to be able to quickly rise to understanding, your truth by going within and making the best use of this to be able to advance into spirituality by searching for your truth within. So I really hope that is kind of helpful and clear that Kali Yuga has, the negatives to it, but also huge positives if you are able to realize them and make use of them the right way. Now, the second reason we're seeing such a high rise in spirituality and spontaneous awakenings is because we are acting and opening these collective doorways to spirituality. Now, what do I mean by that? Basically, if you take a look at how many of us are going through these awakenings at this time, we are actually creating a ripple effect in the world by bringing others to their light, simply by sharing information and also just being present and sharing our energy with the planet. And that's how we are creating that shift and helping people raise their consciousness to understanding their truth at the soul level and the divine. Now, research actually shows us that those that are having Kundalini awakenings can actually cause Kundalini awakenings in other people just simply by their vibration. So imagine the more and more people that go through this experience, simply just walking the earth, you are able to trigger others to go through that experience. As painful as it is, we know that there are multiple benefits to that once you come out on the other end, which is really understanding your truth, moving away from that chaos in this world and really going within to understand yourself and your connection on an individual level to the divine. And so by collective doorways, we are the ripple effect. We are creating that planetary shift. You'll hear all the time people say, I'm here to raise the consciousness of the planet. Well, that's precisely how we are creating this ripple effect to helping other peoples also be able to find their way. Now, in case you're wondering, so wait, is the whole planet just going to shift all of a sudden towards spirituality? Is that really what we're doing here? And the truth is, yes, eventually, but it is going to happen. Like all transformations, this is going to happen as a phased approach. Not everybody is going to be ready to turn towards spirituality and their own inner truth all at once, but rather this will come in smaller phases. Those that are experiencing these and those that have gone before us have, started that momentum and that shift, and more people will come along as, this ripple effect really expands across the globe. Now, with that being said, it is important to remember that we are really not that we're here to save anybody else. Those that are meant to be transformed by our light, by our efforts, and by our approach will naturally be drawn to us or be triggered by us to start their own healing journeys and go on their inward journeys. At no point in time should we be trying to force our family and friends to really turn towards spirituality. This is a natural process that really is going to find people when they're ready for it. You are here really planting those seeds. However, we are not in control of the outcomes and when this is going to happen for people. So it's important to remember that, similar to how you may take a book and read a book at a point in time, it may not resonate with you the same way that, maybe months or years later when you pick it up again, it has a profound impact on you. So you are currently planting those seeds for other people. However, we are not in control of when others may or may not transform and turn to the divine on their inward journey. Now, the third reason I'd like to share that I think that, people are really turning towards spirituality at this time is simply because we are in the internet and social media era, which means that people have access to way more information at their fingertips, tools, resources, and online communities which weren't accessible to our ancestors and those that came before us. So we are, for example, as we go through these spiritual awakenings, we can turn to all of this information that's available to us to really figure out what's happening. We have a better understanding of what we're going through. We have access to greater information and resources, and we're able to learn our lessons much, much quicker, which wasn't possible in the past. So we really have to recognize this golden opportunity. And as I always say, make the most use of it. Go within, make that inward journey your key and core purpose, and really help change what that means for you in terms of connecting with your soul and connecting with the divine. Thank you so much for listening. I really hope this video was helpful. God bless.